Hi everyone, I'm Janneke and welcome back to my channel Books and Stitches. Thank you so much for watching me, if you did. Weird answer. I am not used to this anymore. This will be my first reading video of the new year. Uh, I will admit I have not yet figured out exactly how I'm going to be doing this, so you will find out with me. It is technically still 2023. There's still a couple days left, but I just finished my last book yesterday, and I know I won't be able to finish a whole book in the next couple of days. So I figured, let's get a bit of an early start. So I already made a video about my goals for reading in 2024, but let's recap them quickly. I want to read 25 books, and I have a bingo board with 16 different prompts that are basically goals I want to reach as well. They have different amounts on them. For example, there is I want to read 3 sequels, but there's also I want to read a book with an asexual character. So I only have to read 1 book for that, but I have to read 3 books for the other goal. This is what it looks like. Yeah, so I have discovered over the years that I hate picking books out to read. I get such indecision and decision fatigue, and I just don't pick. So I'm hoping that these prompts or goals will give me a bit of direction when it comes to picking out a book, which is also why I'm filming this video now, because I need to pick a book to read and I don't know what I want to read. So yeah, we're gonna start a couple of days early. So my plan is to roll a dice. I have a d20. There are only 16 prompts, but if I roll 17, 18, 19, or 20, I'll just roll again, I figured. And then I will have a prompt, and then that will give me some direction to go with. I might roll for 2 books at a time. I think I probably will. But it will also depend on which prompt I roll, because there's a prompt for a library book, in which case I will definitely roll for a second book because I need to reserve it and I can't start immediately. But that will all make sense as we go along. I am planning on filming as I'm reading, so not really vlog style, but when I finish a book, I will pop up again and tell you what I felt about, my thoughts and opinions on the book, and then I will either post a video every month or every 2 or 3 books, I think. But we'll figure it out together. Also, if you're watching this and you have any preferences, let me know. If you're oh, just film 1 book in a video, I can do that. If you're just do the whole month, whether that's 1 book or 4 books, I can do that as well. Just give me your opinion, I guess. Besides those main goals, there are also some authors and series that I would like to continue in. So I have a page in my journal for those, but those are very free. They're not really goals that I'm trying to reach, but just things that would be nice maybe. So yeah, we're really gonna focus on the bingo boards. And to do that, let's start by rolling the dice to see what our first prompt is. I have not figured out a way to actually roll the dice on camera. So I think you'll just have to trust me. We'll see if you can see it like this, I guess. That is a 10. I don't think you can see that, but it is a 10. Yeah, no, that is not visible at all. So you'll just have to trust me. It is a 10. Let me see what prompt number 10 is. That is 2 nonfiction books. Okay, we're definitely gonna roll for a second book then, because I would like to read a fiction book as well. But let's look at my nonfiction. I will be back in just a minute. And I'm back. For nonfiction, we are going to be reading, or I'm going to be reading, The Spectrum Girl's Guide, How to Grow Up Awesome and Autistic. This is a book I've already started in the past year. I have read, I don't have a bookmark in it, so I don't know how much, but not too much. I think maybe a third or a quarter of it. It is clearly a book about autism. It is aimed at teenage girls specifically, and already when I read it, I was like, oh, I wish I had this when I was a teenager. But I think it could be really helpful to read, and even if all the tips and tricks I already know, it's still nice to know that I'm not alone. in experiencing things. So I am really excited to read this. But I also remember from when I started it in 2023 that it's quite a difficult book for me to read, mainly because it is so like prevalent to my life, I guess. But yeah, this is what we're going to be picking up. It would also count for a book about autism, but that's not. I haven't really looked at any of the other prompts because I'm just going to focus on whatever I roll, and then when I finish it, we'll see if it ticks off any other boxes. But oh, this book is by Sienna Castellan. Castellan. She wrote it about her own experiences. I'm not sure what else to tell you about it. Yeah, it's basically just a how-to guide to life for girls with autism, because a lot of what you read about autism is like aimed at boys or like based on research on boys. So it is very nice to read something specifically aimed at girls, because we do experience some of the autistic traits differently. So yeah, that is something I am both excited and hesitant to read, but we will be reading it. And yeah, it's probably going to go quite slow. Like I will probably read 1 or 2 fiction books simultaneously, but you will hear my thoughts on it when it's finished. And like I said, we're going to have to read not fan fiction, though probably fan fiction as well. We're going to have to read a fictional book at the same time. So we're just going to roll the dice again. So if I roll a 10 again, I will just re-roll because we're not reading 2 non-fictions at the same time. That is a 3. Again, I don't think you can see that. I have like 3 different dice sets. I'm gonna, for next video, I will pick a different one and see if that's more visible, because I don't think this one really is, but it was a 3, which is reread Percy Jackson or the first 5 Ranger's Apprentice books. Both of those series were series I absolutely loved as a kid and that I want to like revisit. So yeah, I've decided to read or start one of those series this year, basically just to read 5 books, but Ranger's Apprentice is like 12 books and it continues on in like spin-off series that I've never read. Percy Jackson also has spin-off series, but for both of those I just mean the main series of like, for Percy Jackson the book centering around Percy, so like just Percy Jackson and Olympians, and for Ranger's Apprentice just the first, I think 10 or 11 that center around Will. I have not yet decided which of those 2 I want to reread this year, so I will pick them both up and tell you a little bit about both. So first of all, Percy Jackson by Rick Riordan. Most of you are probably familiar with this series, especially with the movies a couple of years ago that were not really great adaptations, and now the TV show that has just come out, the first episodes of it. But in case you haven't, Percy Jackson is about a 12-year-old boy whose mother gets killed by a monster and who discovers that he is the son of a god. So that his father, who he never knew, is a Greek god. And he gets accused of stealing Zeus's lightning bolts. So he has to go on a quest to find the lightning bolt that he didn't steal, as well as try and save his mother from Hades. Yeah, I read the whole series as a child. I read them in Dutch. I haven't read them in English yet. But I really love them. I did not like the spin-off as much. I felt like, while Percy Jackson was very centered around friendships, Heroes of Olympus was very centered around romances, which I just did not care for as much. But I really love the first 5 books, or like the first series, the Percy Jackson Olympian series, and I really want to read them in English at some point. So this is option 1. And option 2 is the first book in the Ranger's Apprentice series. This is the series is by John Flanagan. The first book is The Ruins of Gorlin. I think this is less popular like internationally. It was very popular in the Netherlands, especially growing up like in my school. So I'm not sure whether or not people have heard of it or not. It's an Australian author, I believe. But it is it's set in the Middle Ages, and it is kind of fantasy, but not really. Like there are fantasy creatures in like 2 or 3 of the books, but most of them don't have fantasy creatures in it. But it is about Will, who is an orphan growing up in a castle with other orphans, and on their, I think also 11th or 12th birthday. Oh, 15. Wait, is this the first book? Is he 15 already in the first book? Yes, he is. So at 15, the orphans that grow up at the castle get chosen by a master in their trades to like become their students and become that job, basically. So they get raised on the dime of the Baron, and in exchange they like pledge their lives to him, basically. So you can become a knight or a chef or a scribe or work with horses or a lot of things. But Will is very nervous about that, I guess. He really wants to be a knight, but he's very small. So the knights don't really want him. So he's there and he doesn't really fit into any of the programs. But then there is this program that is very selective, that is basically like spies for the kingdom. I think that's the best way to describe it. They're not really spies, but that is part of what they do. They also fight like battles. They're like more like lone wolves rather than having an army, called the Rangers. And one of the Rangers picks him as his apprentice. I probably did a terrible job explaining that, but yeah, that is what this series and this first book is about. So now I have to decide. Oh, I hate decisions. That's exactly why I did this. I think I will read Ranger's Apprentice this year because I'm watching the Percy Jackson show. And while it makes sense to then like read Percy Jackson because I'm like in Percy Jackson, I also feel like it would be maybe too much, or like I would get the stories 2 times at the same time. So I think it would be more fun to just watch the Percy Jackson show with my memories, and then like next year maybe, or the year after that, reread the series, and then this year focus on Ranger's Apprentice. So I will be reading Ruins of Gorlan by John Flanagan. This is another book I read in Dutch originally, and I recently got the entire series, like the first 10 or 12 books for my mother for my birthday in like a big box set. So I really want to read them in English. Like Percy Jackson, there's a bunch of spin-off series, but I'm just going to read the main series. And this year, just the first 5 of them. So yeah, I will be reading Ruins of Gorlan and The Spectrum Girl's Guide to Survival, and I will update you once I have finished one of those books. I'm very excited, but also kind of nervous. Like, no idea how I'm going to feel. It's kind of weird because both of these are books that I've read before, or like Ranger's Apprentice I've read in Dutch before, and Spectrum Girl's Guide I've started before. I've not finished before, but like I'm familiar with both those worlds, so that's interesting. I didn't really expect to start something or like read something immediately that I was kind of familiar with. But yeah, that's very exciting. I think I will also quickly go over what all of my prompts are, because that would be probably nice to know if you didn't watch my goals video. So we're just going to over them really quickly because I did make a goals video. But basically, I want to read 3 sequels. And the rereads does not count for that, but everything else will count double. I want to read 3 middle grade novels. So the reread of Percy Jackson or the 5 first Ranger's Apprentice books, which we have now decided is the first 5 Ranger's Apprentice books. I want to read 3 signed books, so books that I have an autograph in. 2 fantasy novels. 2 Afterlight specials, because I now have the subscription on Illuminate Afterlight. Illumicrate Afterlight. I've had that for like 2 months now, I think. I want to read 2 books that are 400 pages or more. I went to YAG in November, and I want to read at least 5 of the books I bought at YAG. I want to read The Rainbow, so just like a book of each color, which one of these will count for blue. Doesn't really matter which one, they're both blue. But yeah, so I want to read basically a book of every color in the rainbow. I want to read 2 nonfiction books. I want to read 2 old books / books that have / TBR veterans. So I don't mean like old books as in Shakespeare. I mean old books as in I've owned them for ages, which could be Shakespeare. I think I've owned some classics for a really long time, but they don't have to be classics. I just have to had them for years and not read them, I guess. I want to finish a series. There are a couple series that I have in mind specifically for this prompt, but we'll see. I want to read 2 library books. I work in the library now. I volunteer there once a week, and I just keep seeing books, and I want to I want to borrow some and read some. I want to read 5 adult novels. I want to read 2 books about autism, whether that is fictional or nonfiction, doesn't matter. And I want to read about an asexual character. So, yeah, if you want more details, you can look at my prompts video. For now, this is it, and I will update you once I finish the book. I'm just about to start reading Ruins of Gorlin, and I just noticed that this edition of the book has like a little description about rangers, and I really did a terrible job explaining them. So I figured I would just read that little description out loud. So the book, before the story starts, this edition has a page that says, "Have you got what it takes to be a ranger?" The Rangers are an elite special forces corps in the medieval kingdom of Eraluan. They are the eyes and ears of the kingdom, the intelligence gatherers, the scouts, and the troubleshooters. Rangers are expert archers and carry 2 knives, one for throwing and one for hunting. They are also highly skilled at tracking, concealment, and unseen movement. Their ability to become virtually invisible has led common folk to view them with fear, thinking the Rangers must use black magic. Occasionally, a young man who is judged to have the qualities of honesty, courage, agility, and intelligence will be invited to undertake a 5-year apprenticeship to develop his natural abilities and instruct him in the almost supernatural skills of a ranger. If he passes his first year, he is given a bronze medallion in the shape of an oak leaf. If he graduates, the bronze will be exchanged for the silver oak leaf of an oak leaf bearer, a ranger of the kingdom of Eraluan. So I guess that's like a bit more of a description of what a ranger is, because I just did not know how to describe it. So I'm going to start reading now. Hi, welcome back. It is now the 3rd of January. I have not yet finished the book, but I am very close to finishing Ranger's Apprentice. So I wanted to do a little update. So I read a couple chapters of the Spectrum Survival Guides, and I am really enjoying it. It is, it's important for me. So I recognize myself a lot in these pages, and it's very comforting to read it, but also challenging. So I don't read more than a chapter of this at a time. So it is going slowly, but I read a couple of chapters. So I'm happy with that. And Ranger's Apprentice is so close to being finished. I will probably finish this tomorrow, maybe today, but I'm thinking probably tomorrow. But tomorrow I will have a very busy day. So I will not be able to roll the dice and figure out what book I'm going to be reading next. So I wanted to do that today. So even though we can't cross anything off yet of my goals, we can figure out what the next one is going to be. So yeah, there's nothing to cross off yet, but we're gonna roll for a new one. So like I said, I'm going to try a different set of dice to hopefully be more visible for you. These are like the ones that have the biggest contrasts between the dice and the numbers. I'm hoping these will be visible for you, and I will roll a dice and figure out what I will be reading. There's a lot of the other dice in here, but those we aren't rolling. So you can see these. Can you see that? It is an 11. Okay, that clip got cut off kind of abruptly because I got a phone call and then I had to leave and do stuff. So yeah, it's like an hour later now, but we are back. I think we left off at me having rolled an 11. The dice is no longer on 11, so I can't show you, but it was an 11. I think I showed it before, but either way, 11 corresponds to read an adult novel. So I have a goal of reading 5 adult novels this year because I want to broaden my horizons a bit more. So I've got read a couple of middle grades, read a couple of adult novels, read a couple of non-fictions to widen what I read, because I read mostly YA. So I have different genres within adult that I could read, but I'm really in the mood for an adult romance. One of the last books I read in December was I'll Be Home for Christmas. Is that what it's called? I can look it up. Make You Mine This Christmas, that was it. And that was just like a really cute romance, and I'm kind of in the mood for that again. So I've picked out 3 options that would work as an adult novel, and I think we'll just take a look at all 3 of them and see which one would fit best with the readathons I'm doing. So the first one I have here is A Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting, which is historical fiction. It is it's about a girl named Kitty who wants to find a rich husband to save her family, basically. So she's going to London and joining the season and basically just on the hunt for a rich husband. And in the meantime, there's like this lord who kind of sees through her plans and is determined to stop her. And I'm expecting it to be like kind of rivals to lovers between them. It doesn't say that, but that's the vibes I'm getting. Then next, I have Delilah Green Doesn't Care. This is about a girl who, or like a woman, it's all adults, but it's about a woman who grew up in like a small town, but now lives in and works in New York and has no desire to go back to her small town. But then her stepsister, who she's has kind of a rocky relationship with, kind of pressures her into being the photographer at her wedding. So Delilah goes back home, and there she meets Claire, and who is her stepsister's like best friends. And yeah, it's a romance between Claire and Delilah. I don't really know too much about it, but I mean, these books are so well known and there's so much hype around Ashley Herring Blake's books that I really want to read it. And like, yeah, I am really excited to read this one. And then there is Something Wicked by Gretchen Rue. I absolutely have no idea what this is about or anything. I think I bought this at Yalk because I buy a lot of books at Yalk that I don't know not much about because of all the sales and how pretty they look. And I'm just like in the mood to buy books when I'm at Yalk. But this is a fantasy-ish. As far as I'm aware, this is like a cozy romance detective with witches in it. So it counts for quite a bit. It's about a woman. I don't think her name is on the back, so I can't tell you who it's about, but it's about a woman who moves back to her aunt's house in like a small town, finds out she's a witch, and then there's a cute neighbor, I think, cute childhood friends. There's a murder on the doors of your aunt's old tea shop. So yeah, I think it's like a cozy murder mystery romancy book with witches, which sounds very fun because I do really like mystery books, and I don't think I've read a cozy one. The closest I think is the Agathas. I don't know if that counts as a cozy mystery or not. But when I read that, it did feel very different in that it felt more lighthearted. Like it still dealt with murder, but it wasn't like nitty gritty. It felt like more fluttery, I guess. I don't know how to describe it. So I did quite like that. So yeah, I think I will be picking up Something Wicked tomorrow. So yeah, I'll read you the back of the book. Recipe for a potion to demolish your life as you know it. Step 1. Pack up your life and move to your aunt's old house in a small, sleepy town. Step 2. Discover that she was a witch. Step 3. Discover that you're also a witch. Step 4. Add a sprinkle of butterflies for your childhood friend, who's suddenly incredibly hot. A dash of prying neighbors who want you to leave their town and never come back. And the key ingredient, a murder on the steps of your aunt's old tea shop, which, as it happens, is also a magic apothecary. Voila, your spell is complete. So yeah, I am actually really intrigued by this. I have no idea what to expect. It feels like there's a lot in the book, like if I read the back, but it's a pretty small book. It's a little under 300 pages. But yeah, I'm excited, actually. I've been wanting to read some cozy mysteries, and I didn't even realize I owned this. I mean, I realized I owned it. I did not realize it was a cozy mystery. I thought it was just like a cute romance, but I am actually really in the mood for it now. So yeah, I will be starting this after I finish Ranger's Apprentice, which will probably be tomorrow or the day after. I'm excited. And hopefully I will get to these books sometime this year. I mean, it's only January 3rd. We have a lot of time left. So yeah, I will check back in with you. Everyone, I'm sick, so this is going to be a pretty short update. But I wanted to update you on my reading. I finished Ranger's Apprentice. I don't think I've filmed since then. I don't have the book on me anymore, and I'm not going to grab it because, like I said, I'm sick. But I absolutely loved it. I'd forgotten how much I enjoyed those books as a kid, or like I remember why I enjoyed them so much reading them again. Like they make me so happy. I love the humor in them. Like absolutely, I'm looking forward to reading the rest. I'm planning on reading the first 5 books sometime this year, so I'm very excited to read the second book at some point. Yeah, very happy with that. Absolutely thrilled. I decided to reread the first one in that series. It was amazing. Then I started Something Wicked, which I think I've already told you about. I ended up DNFing that book. I read about 100 pages and I really wanted to love it because it seemed like the type of book I would love. I love like mysteries and romance and like cozy, but I didn't. Oh no, I just did not care for the story at all. I felt like it was trying to do too much, and then as a result, didn't really do anything. Because like at the point where I DNF'd it, the love interest was introduced, but I was like, there's no chemistry between them. I have no idea why she's interested in him. Like I don't feel anything reading their interaction. There was a dead body already. I did not care for it. She wasn't like really investigating what happened yet. And I don't know, I was already over a third of the way through the book and I was like, where's the mystery? Like, yeah, okay, someone's dead, but like, where's the mystery? And like the fantasy elements, like there was some witchcraftiness, but it was also like very subtle and very in the background. And I was like, what is happening in this story? Like nothing seems to be happening. So yeah, I feel like it just didn't work for me. So I DNF'd that about a third of the way through. And then I started reading A Collision of Stars, which is an arc, which I was super happy about getting. I will put up a picture. I don't remember the author from the top of my head, but I will like tell you more about it once I finish it because I haven't finished it yet. But it is a romance novel that takes place in like London, and it's about this grumpy barista and this sunshine marketing boy who's like traveled all around the world and is in London working for a couple of months now and wants to experience all of it. So he has like a bucket list of things he wants to do, and he kind of convinces the barista to do them with him. And it's dual point of view. So far, mostly you read from the barista's point of view, like it's mostly about her, but there are chapters in the male love interest's point of view as well. I'm not too far into it yet. I think I've read about 100 pages or so, and it's like I think over 400 total or around there. But I'm really enjoying it. They are super cute. I love their banter. Um, yeah, they're very snarky and it's funny, and yeah, I'm loving it. I will update you more once I am no longer sick and can remember stuff, and also have actually finished the book. Because, like I said, I'm like, I don't know, not that far into it yet. Like, I think I'm about a quarter of the way into it. Um, yeah, they're both in this at the stage where they're like, I don't want any relationship with anyone. And I'm like, oh, you're so cute together. You're going to end up happy together because, you know, it's a romance. So you know how it's going to end. But yeah, I'm loving it. I'm so happy I got the arc for that. I'm reading that as an ebook because it's like an e-arc, which is strange for me. I don't usually read books through my phone and I don't have an e-reader. But I am adjusting to it. And yeah, the story is so cute. Like, I'm not sure how available it will be, if it will be like available in paperback as well or just as an ebook. But if it is available as a paperback, I think I will probably buy it because I am really enjoying it so far. But yeah, I have to finish the book first, obviously. And then I also started reading another book because I was in the mood for it. And that is A Very Merry Murder Club, which is an anthology of 13 different crime mystery stories that's all middle grade themed, or like
not female, but like aimed at the middle grade audience. And I've read two of the stories so far, and it's so cute and funny, and I love it. So yeah, those are just short stories. But the first of those is by Elle McNichol, who wrote the kind of a kind of Spark and a lot of other books. But she writes a lot of autistic books, or like middle grade books with autistic characters, and it's absolutely amazing. I I adored A Kind of Spark, and I wish I had been able to read that as a kid. And I'm so happy like autistic girls and boys can read it now. But yeah, so she's the reason I bought the book, because when I found out about A Kind of Spark, I kind of bought all of her books, including the anthology in which she has one story. But yeah, I'm so happy I read that, and that was the first story in the anthology as well. And again, I was like, oh my God, it's so amazing to read about an autistic girl being amazing and just like being autistic without it being like this huge deal. Like that's just who she is. So yeah, yeah, I love it. So definitely recommend Elle McNichol. I've read two of her books and this short story now. The book I read other than A Kind of Spark is Show Us Who You Really Are, which was good but was not my genre. It was more like sci-fi, and it just wasn't really for me. It's like about AI and things like that, and just the topics weren't really interesting to me. But again, it's just amazing to have representation like that. So yeah, I'm also very excited to read other stories. I don't know what they're about. Like there's not like a little synopsis of each story. I did look for one, but so I just have the titles, but they seem fun. At least the first two were fun. The second one that I read was about like these twins whose grandmother was kind of like a spy, and like Santa had stolen presents or something. It was funny. It was really funny. Yeah. So that is my updates for now. Hi, it is the 30th of January now, and I think it's time to wrap up this January vlog. I got sick and I've been like ill for like half of January, so I have absolutely no idea what I've told you and what I haven't, but you haven't missed much because I've not read much since I've been sick. I've tried to keep reading, but it's been a real struggle. I've not done much of it. So instead of trying to remember everything I did and did not tell you, I'm just going to wrap up the entire month. I started 5 books this month and I have finished 2 of them. I DNF'd 1 book and I am currently reading 2 more. So I started the book with Runes of Gorlin by John Flanagan, which is the first in the Ranger's Apprentice series, which I know I have told you about, so I'm not gonna go into it now, but I gave that 5 stars because I absolutely loved it. Then I also started the month reading the Spectrum Girls Survival Guide, How to Grow Up Autistic and Amazing. Awesome and Autistic, I mean. I've not finished this yet, but I only have like 2 chapters or so left, so I will finish this very early on in February. I tend to only be able to read like 1 chapter of this at a time because it is just so like, it's not fiction, obviously, and it's also like impactful, and I just want to like sit with a chapter before I like continue reading on. I really want to get it like in my skull and like percolate on it or something. I don't know. You'll see a couple of stickers. I want to go through the first half of the book again and put stickers there as well. But yeah, I read the first half of this book like around summertime and then just kind of put it away and never picked it back up again. So yeah, I do want to reread the first half and like tab that as well. But I am loving this. Definitely recommend it if you're autistic or know someone who is autistic, especially teenagers. This is really aimed at teenage girls, and I think it's great for that. But I will be finishing this at the beginning of February. Then I started Something Wicked. I think I've shown that book before. I'm not gonna get it because it's like in my pile somewhere. I DNF'd that book and I'm getting rid of it. It just wasn't for me. Yeah, I think that's it. It just I really wanted to like it, but there was just too many genres in one. I think I did talk about why I DNF'd this book as well. So I'm not going to go too deeply into it. But yeah, that was a DNF. Then I started reading A Collision of Stars by Georgia Stone. I was lucky enough to get a arc for that, an e-arc, and I absolutely loved it. I will put up a picture because I don't have the physical book, but yeah, it's amazing. I loved it. I don't think I finished reading it. I know I didn't finish reading it last clip. I think I did already start it and tell you a little bit about it, but it's basically a romance about two strangers, like a grumpy girl and a sunshine boy meeting in London and like having adventures in London, trying to complete a bucket list, and it's just fun and cute, and I love the banter in it. Like, mwah, love it. My only like but is it's quite long. I wish it was just a bit shorter because there was like at one point in like two-fourths or so into the book, I was like, okay, I get it now. Like, just get together already. Just like start wrapping it up. I feel like it may be dragged on just a tiny bit too long, but overall, I absolutely loved it. It is great. Definitely go check it out. It's I don't remember the exact date, but it releases sometime in February. Um, it is independently published, so I think it you can buy it on Amazon. I don't know if there are other sites, but Georgia Stone, look her up. It's great. Definitely recommend it. So that's the book I finished. I gave that 4 stars just because of I felt like it was too long for what it was. But yeah, it was amazing. Then I started reading The Very Merry Murder Club. And I don't think I've told you about that one yet. But it is this one. This is a collection of short stories. It's a middle grade novel. They're all like mystery stories. And yeah, I've read about 7 or so now, and I really enjoyed some of them. I didn't really like the others, but that's like always the case with these anthologies. They're like by a bunch of different authors. So overall, I'm enjoying it so far, but I'm not that far in. Maybe I'm like around here, so like almost halfway into the book, but I will not be finishing it today or tomorrow because I prefer reading like 1 or 2 stories at a time. So that is this. And then it is time to update my journal. Yeah, let's see what goals I completed. I meant to update my journal ahead of time because I don't have a good place to like do it and film what I'm doing. So you're not actually going to see like visually the updates. If you want to see that, you'll have to check out my February vlog, but I will just like talk about it. So yeah, this is my reading vlog. So A Collision of Stars is not in here yet, but Something Wicked and Range of Friends is. I tend to give books I DNF 1 star because I do like try and read them and I spend time and energy on them. Like I don't DNF a book in the first couple of pages, or like sometimes I do, but then I don't count it as a DNF and write it down. So yeah. So I need to here's my books read. I also need to print out A Collision of Stars and stick it in there. I don't have it printed out yet. I tend to wait until I have 4 books to print out at the same time because that's how many I can print, and that saves on paper because they're kind of pricey. So for favorites, I will put Ruins of Gorlin on there for January because that is the book that I've read in January and finished in January that I love the most. But I don't think it will win just because it's like I love it because of the nostalgia factor. But hey, that is still something. Where is my goals page? Oh my god, it's at the beginning. I completely skipped past it. That is why I actually opened this. The rest is just like, oh, I'll show it. So this is my goals page. So far, only Ruins of Gorlin has been added to it. That is this Percy Jackson one. I don't tend to. I'm not intending to count this book box for multiple. For all the other books, I will be counting multiple squares, but because this is like a separate thing, I'm not really counting the Range Apprentice books unless it's like I have one that's like read a book that's over 400 pages. If one of the Range Apprentice books is over 400 pages, I will count it as that, but I won't count it as like read a fantasy or read a middle grade. I don't know if I needed to explain that or not. But yeah, God, I keep mumbling and umming. my mind is still not completely better. I'm still like kind of brain foggy from being ill. So I'm not counting something wicked for my goals because I did DNF that and I decided to try and get my goals, not counting DNFs. I might change my mind on that later in the year, but we shall see. So then A Collision of Stars. It is over 400 pages actually, so that I will have half of this blog done already. That's nice. And it is an adult novel, which is here. So yeah, an adult novel as well. And I don't know what color it is, so I don't actually know if it fits the rainbow or not because I don't have a physical copy. I think it's like purplish or pinkish. I have to check and see if I count if it's like one main color or if it's like not, and then maybe it might count for that as well. But that is it. There's not like any others that it would work for. So yeah, I will color it in and like update my journal in general. And then in February, I will continue reading Fairy Mary Murder Club and the autism nonfiction, but I will also roll to read another fiction book because I have noticed that I prefer to read both the anthology and the nonfiction like just a little bit at a time. So to keep like my reading up, I want to read just a regular fiction book as well. So that is it for this month. Have you read any of the novels I read? If so, what did you think of them? Did you love them? Did you hate them? Tell me. And go check out my February vlog to find out everything else. What am I going to be reading next? How am I going to enjoy these books? We shall see. I'm so happy with how much I managed to read this month, especially the first half of the month before I got ill. I didn't read that much since, but still, like 5 books, that's a lot. And yeah, I DNF'd one and didn't finish 2 of them, but still, that's way more than my usual. So super happy with that. Yeah, see you all in the next video. Bye.